This video brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Use offer code OFFHAND at checkout using the link in the description down below and get 15% off of your entire purchase. That's 15 percents.
As I mentioned at the top of the call, this November we'll release a feature-length animated sequel to Moana. This was originally developed as a series, but we were impressed with what we saw, and we knew it deserved a theatrical release. The original Moana film from 2016 recently crossed 1 billion hours streamed on Disney Plus and was the most streamed movie of 2023 on any platform in the US. Along with the live-action version of the original film that's currently in development, Moana remains an incredibly popular franchise, and we can't wait to give you more of Moana and Maui when Moana 2 comes to theaters this November. And we're already looking forward to 2026 and beyond with Frozen 3, the first Toy Story movie since 2019, and a new Star Wars movie that brings The Mandalorian and Grogu to the big screen for the very first time.
What you just heard was Bob Iger discussing Disney's strategy going forward when it relates to their movies, their theatrical releases. Now, I don't often talk about Disney's film output on this channel. This is mostly a Disney Parks related YouTube channel, but something has been sort of rearing its ugly head recently. I've noticed a pattern emerging, and it's a pattern that concerns me, and it might concern you as well. When Bob was talking about Disney's 2025 theatrical slate and looking forward to 2026, he mentioned Captain America 4, Fantastic Four, those are both fine, Elio, Zootopia 2, Avatar 3, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5. Are you noticing a bit of a trend here? The MCU is doing, whatever the MCU is currently doing right now, but all of the movies that are not MCU related, only one of them was an original production. Elio from Pixar. Zootopia 2, Avatar 3, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5 are all sequels. And that is why I am here to talk to you today about Disney's sort of growing over-reliance on their franchises, on their sequels, when it comes to the films. This video isn't going to really be about the parks. We've talked ad nauseum about how they use IP in the parks and how if it's done well, then it's acceptable and I really like it. But specifically for the movies, it seems like what we will be receiving in the future is lots and lots of sequels. But before we look forward to the future, I think it's important to go back to the 80s and 90s to talk about Disney's original sequels, the direct-to-DVD, the direct-to-VHS sequels of their classic Disney Renaissance films, because these things were so, I don't want to say great because they weren't great, but they were something unique.
All right, carpet, let's go.
A new adventure with Aladdin. Disney's The Return of Jafar. Jafar is back, and he's out for revenge.
I'm arranging a little surprise for Aladdin.
Now, Aladdin will have to use all his tricks to face his biggest challenge ever. So join all your favorite characters, Aladdin, Jasmine, Iago, and the Genie.
Did you miss me?
Disney's The Return of Jafar.
I love it!
I can't agree with Genie on this one. I did not love The Return of Jafar. The Return of Jafar was the very first of what Disney called Disney feature-length home entertainment releases, and that just rolls off the tongue beautifully, doesn't it? Now, the story behind the creation of The Return of Jafar is very interesting, but I'll save that for a future video because it's not pertinent to the problem that Disney is facing today. Although you do see some echoes of what's happening today, because The Return of Jafar was created as a backdoor pilot to an Aladdin TV series that was meant to sort of help fill out the slate of original content for the Disney Channel back in the 90s. Although it was lower in quality both animation-wise and story-wise from the original Aladdin theatrical release, it went on to gross $300 million off of a budget of $5 million, making it one of the best-selling films on home video ever. So with Return of Jafar both making Disney a good amount of money and introducing people to the Aladdin TV show that would air on Disney, I almost said Disney Plus. See, the Disney Channel, Disney decided to go full steam ahead on these direct-to-video releases and these TV shows based off of their Renaissance movies. And I will actually double down on saying that Aladdin and the King of Thieves is actually a genuinely good sequel to Aladdin. I highly recommend you check it out. Robin Williams even came back to voice the genie after the falling out he had with Disney. It's so good. But after that, we got sequels like Pocahontas 2, Journey to to the New World, The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure, Cinderella 2, Tarzan and Jane, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Everything was getting a sequel, and some of them were good, some of them not so much. Some of them meant to launch TV shows like Tarzan and Jane, and some of them not, like Mulan 2. All the while, though, what's important here is that these sequels and spin-offs were kept direct to DVD, direct to VHS. None of them were released theatrically, except for, limited releases some places in, like, Europe. The only full-fledged sequel that had been made by Walt Disney Animation Studios, the animation studio that was founded by Walt and Roy in 1923, had been The Rescuers Down Under up until that point. Fantasia 2000 was released in 2000, and was technically a sequel to Walt Disney's Fantasia, even though it didn't really carry over any overarching story or characters from the original. Mickey Mouse was in there, sure, but it wasn't a story sequel. It was just Fantasia continued, if you will. But then we skip forward a few years and arrive in the year 2012 and see the release of Wreck-It Ralph, which was a really great original movie that received positive reviews from both critics and fans, and an above-average box office return. Disney decided to keep their eyes on Wreck-It Ralph. And while it seemed that Disney was entering a second renaissance with the success of movies like The Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, the entire lid was about to be blown off of the animation industry in 2013 with the release of a little film you may have heard of called Frozen.
Ooh. Hello.
Did anyone else think Frozen was just a story about a snowman and a reindeer competing to get a carrot before they actually saw the movie? It's very interesting to me they leaned into that angle, but hey, it was, it did, to say Frozen dominated the box office in 2013 would be an understatement. It dominated everybody's minds. The music was everywhere. The merchandise was everywhere. It quickly became the 5th highest grossing movie of all time and the highest grossing animated movie of all time. And Bob Iger, being the allegedly savvy businessman that he was, immediately decided that it was time for Frozen to become its own franchise. We needed more Frozen content, and fast. Which led to, not even a year after Frozen opened in theaters, the announcement that Maelstrom at Epcot, an original dark ride featuring the history and story of Norway, would be rethemed to a Frozen-themed dark ride that would eventually become Frozen Ever After, with those beautiful, absolutely gorgeous projection faces that everyone knows I just love so much. The characters of Frozen came to the TV show Once Upon a Time. Frozen Fever was released in 2015. Olaf's Frozen Adventure released in 2017, and in 2019 you could meet Anna, Elsa, Olaf, and Kristoff in Kingdom Hearts 3. It was everywhere, but this whole time behind the scenes with the curtains drawn, Bob Iger sat stewing in his office, thinking, imagining the kind of success that would come with a full-fledged theatrical release, a sequel to Frozen. And in 2019, it released. And once again, it was received very well. And if you remember, the tone of the Frozen 2 teaser trailer was slightly different than the tone of the Frozen 1 teaser trailer. Oh my god, is this a horror movie? Is everything okay? Oh, oh, that's right, this is Frozen. Oh. Oh my god, they killed off Elsa. They killed Elsa in the teaser trailer. She's dead. Okay, no, she's okay. Okay, she's actually dead that time. No, there's no way she survived that. She's gone. Holy sh! I won't lie, that teaser is actually kind of badass. Frozen 2 beat Frozen and became the highest grossing animated movie of all time. We don't count that one. It released to massive box office and critical success, and I know this video is called Disney Has a Sequel Problem, but Frozen 2 I actually enjoy more than the first one. I actually really do like Frozen 2 a lot. But that's the only time you're gonna hear me say that. Continuing on, now Disney had realized that there was monetary value, there was success found in pursuing these sequels. But in my opinion, they learned the wrong lessons from Frozen 2. Frozen was very much the brainchild of Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, the writers and directors of the movie. Jennifer Lee going as far as keeping a diary written from the perspectives of Anna and Elsa leading up to the events of Frozen 2. She was like the Tolkien behind this universe, if that is an apt comparison. There were more stories to tell in the world of Arendelle. You know, how did this woman get the power to control ice? Was there something more behind the deaths of the king and queen of Arendelle from the first movie? I think there was more story to tell there, and they did. They told the story, and Frozen 2 did well because of it. But, you know, for the next few years, Disney would continue on their path, releasing movies like Big Hero 6, Zootopia, and Moana, up until 2018, when the wrong lessons were learned, and that reared its ugly head with the release of one of my least favorite Disney movies of all time, an obviously shoehorned sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I don't know if I hate this because it's a sequel or because it tries to tackle internet culture in a Disney-friendly way that was already outdated by the time the movie was released in theaters. Either way, Ralph Breaks the Internet was, in my opinion, horrible. It was very, very bad. But it made $500 million at the box office and got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, so Disney considered that yet another success. Meanwhile, over at Pixar, the story isn't as interesting because they had been doing sequels for a while with Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3, which were both very good improvements upon the original. I think Toy Story 2 is my personal favorite, but Toy Story 3 is often regarded as a masterpiece, and understandably. But there's always the flip side to that coin. They also released Cars 2. We all know about Cars 2, and Finding Dory, which did not stand up to the original. Cars 3, which was, you know, Cars 3 is fine, and The Incredibles 2, which was actually a pretty solid continuation of the original. But there's a pattern you may see emerging with these sequels that are actually good, okay? There are more stories to tell within these worlds. Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Andy's grown up and going to college. What an amazing hook for the movie. Finding Dory, you ever wonder what Dory's backstory is? Here's a movie for it. Cars 2, what if Mater became a secret agent? I don't know if anyone was asking that question, but you know, we got Cars 2 out of it, so I consider it a victory. The Incredibles 2 closes that storyline of the government banning superheroes from the first movie, and Cars 3 had seen Lightning McQueen sort of step into that mentor role that Doc Hudson had given him in the first movie. Cars 3 was actually pretty good, you know, one of the better Pixar sequels. But with all of these sequels that were, in my opinion, good, there were more stories to tell within that world. In 2019, we all saw the release of Toy Story 4, a continuation of the Toy Story story after the well-loved and oft-regarded one of the best moments in animated movie history, the ending of Toy Story 3. The book was closed, the toys had found a new home, Andy was going off to college, everything was sort of put to bed with the release of Toy Story 3, and now, because Buzz and Woody sell so much merchandise, and you have to keep the films going, Toy Story 4 came out. And when I say the words unnecessary Disney sequel, the first two movies that pop into my head are Ralph Breaks the Internet and Toy Story 4. But don't worry, we're getting a Toy Story 5, okay? It's gonna be fine. What's important here, though, is that Toy Story 4 grossed $1 billion. So, you know, people can't blame Disney and Pixar for greenlighting more and more of these sequels if they're making a ton of money. But now we skip ahead to November 22nd of 2023 to the newest Walt Disney Animation Studios produced movie that was also a musical and an homage to the previous 100 years of Disney animation history. Sounds like a slam dunk. Wish was released. Wish featured a very interesting take on 3D animation and, importantly, was not a sequel. Wish was an original movie. Wish bombed at the box office and received poor reviews. And I think this is where a big shift is happening internally with Disney. Wish has scared Disney. An animated musical from Walt Disney Animation Studios is usually a home run, but when one of those fails, Disney tends to get cold feet. It happened in the 2000s with Disney pumping the brakes on musicals with movies like Dinosaur, The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear. None of these movies were really musicals. But now, in this case, instead of pumping the brakes on the songs, Disney is pumping the brakes on the original movies. Now we are getting Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5, a fifth one. The problem I have with Disney pursuing these sequels so vigilantly is not the lack of original content. For all I care, they could keep pumping out sequels as much as they want to, but the problem that I have with the upcoming slate is that the sequels are taking the place of original movies. Disney is playing it safe. That's the problem I have here. I know that Disney is capable of making great original movies, but they are seeing that these sequels are getting more box office returns. They see that the originals are very popular, and instead of a new original movie and Moana 2, we are just getting Moana 2 and Zootopia 2. If you get what I'm saying? As you may have heard Bob Iger say at the very beginning of this video on the earnings call, the only original movie coming out in 2024, 2025, 2026 is Elio by Pixar. When you take a risk, or when Disney takes a risk, that risk can either pay off or it can't. Wish was a risk, it didn't pay off, that's fine. But I think Disney taking risks and being a leading innovator in the film space is important. It goes all the way back to Walt. He said, in his words, not mine, "I dream, I test my dreams against my beliefs, I dare to take risks, and I execute my vision to make those dreams come true." Disney was, more so back then than nowadays, but I guess they still kind of are, an innovator in the movie-making industry. If Walt and the studio wanted to pull off something new, something that had never been done before, and it wasn't possible, instead of not doing the thing, the studio would just invent something new, like the first full sound cartoon, or the multiplane camera, or audio animatronics. I'm not mad at Disney in this video, I'm worried for Disney. I'm worried that they're resting upon their laurels. When it comes to the parks, we're still seeing these innovations being made every year, like Project EXO, the Hulk from Avengers Campus, making walk-around characters, meet and greet characters larger than life. That multi-directional walking pad that Disney recently showed off, that's gonna be great for those VR users out there. Freestanding and moving audio animatronics, all of these things are great, but they're only for the parks. They're not going to help the movie industry in any way. And instead of taking risks and making potentially new franchises out of original movies, Disney is just making sequels to these original, well-performing original films. And I'm worried about that. Also, I think I just said the word original like 12 times there, but that's okay, that's all right. But it's okay, I guess, don't worry. Even though we haven't received so much as a teaser for Frozen 3 yet, they have already announced that a Frozen 4 is also in development. Just more Frozen. I like Frozen 2, I've said it before, but when there's not a story to tell, they need to stop telling the story. By all means, keep the merchandise coming, keep the rides coming, keep the celebrations of the films coming, but when the story is done, stop telling it. In some cases, it diminishes what came before. Toy Story 4 really sort of made the ending of Toy Story 3 less important, I think. Buzz and Woody and all the other toys finally get a new owner, and they're played with again, and they're all a big family, they're all happy once again. Except in Toy Story 4, where they all go their separate ways once again, and now Buzz and Woody are just going different directions in life, I guess. It diminishes the product that came before. Disney is playing it safe right now, and when Disney plays it safe, the entirety of the Walt Disney Company suffers from it. The parks, the movies, the TV shows. Dare I say it, even the cruise lines, okay? The cruise lines could be suffering from this. Won't someone think of the cruise lines, please? Apparently, on the release slate for upcoming animated Disney movies, we have an untitled Walt Disney Animation Studios film for 2026. Maybe it will be an original, maybe not. There's a non-zero chance it will be Wreck-It Ralph 3, Ralph Breaks the Internet Again, and we will finally see Ralph Mew in 2026, but time will tell, I suppose. I think the entire essence of what I'm trying to say in this video can be condensed down to this. Disney right now is backed into a corner and they are scared, and instead of expanding these stories with sequels that are warranted, they are instead just making sequels to movies because those movies made money, and these sequels will probably make money as well. That's it. I wouldn't be concerned if they were making Zootopia 2 and then maybe 10 years from now they're making Frozen 3. I am concerned that we're getting Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, Frozen 4, but it's a noticeable shift in their release output, and I'm just worried for the future of Disney if they just double down, triple down, as it looks like they're doing, with the sequels, with the franchises. You can make original movies and have franchises built off of the back of those. There is no Princess and the Frog 2. There is apparently a Tiana TV show coming to Disney Plus, but if it goes the same way as Moana 2, that will be turned into the Princess and the Frog 2. But at Disneyland and Disney World, one of the most highly anticipated upcoming attractions is based off of Princess and the Frog. It looks amazing. Did you see that animatronic? But there is no sequel because the story for Princess and the Frog is over. Dr. Facilier is gone. Ray is gone. Tiana and Naveen are happy. Tiana has her restaurant. The story is over. There are ways to expand the world and these stories like attractions. And if Disney wants to make money, the parks are the biggest moneymaker for the company right now by a very wide margin. If people want to experience the next chapter in Tiana's story, instead of going to the theater to see a movie, they could go to the Disney parks and ride the attraction. You'll definitely make more money that way, Disney. Maybe that's the wrong point I'm taking away from this. Disney needs to remain innovators in the animation industry. Disney needs to let their creatives be creative, and if that results in a Wish every now and then, that's fine. Because more often, rather than resulting in a Wish or a Home on the Range, it results in a Moana, it results in a Frozen, it results in a Tangled or a Princess and the Frog or a Little Mermaid. And I think that's something that Disney has forgotten when they focus solely on Green Line Go Up. But that's short-term gains. That's having a good quarterly earnings call. It's just frustrating because I've seen what Disney can do. We all have, and we know, at least I know, they can do better than just sequel after sequel after sequel. And again, once more, may I remind you, this isn't coming from someone who just blindly hates every sequel. I love Frozen 2. I was a huge MCU fan up until like sort of recently. I've kind of fallen off the MCU train. But dang it if Deadpool doesn't just look absolutely amazing. Sequels have a place and they can be great, but I'm worried that these will be less so. These will not be Frozen 2s. These will be more Cars 2s, if you know what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, this is all just speculation. This is me whining. Maybe Moana 2 comes out and it's amazing and it makes a bunch of money. Good for Disney. Maybe Frozen 12 comes out and it's still a success. Josh Gad in his old age finally retires from the character of Olaf and passes it on to his son. That'll be fine and dandy. I just want Disney to remember their history. The past 100 years of the Walt Disney Company, and remember that they are supposed to be leaders. They are supposed to innovate. They are supposed to tell fresh and interesting stories. Because as Walt said, around here we keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. But what do you think? Are you noticing a concern increase in the amount of sequels that Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar are doing? Are you worried for the future of the animation studio like I am? Or are you just sort of enjoying it as it comes to you? Yeah, maybe Wish was a failure, but maybe Frozen 3 will be good. Maybe Moana 2 will be fantastic. Maybe it'll suck. It doesn't matter. We're just getting new movies and it'll be interesting to watch them. Or are you past the point of caring about Disney movies at this point and only tune into this channel to watch me talk about people movers and living with the land? That's actually the most valid of the three options that I just gave you. Please let me know down in the comments below because I'm very interested to hear everyone's take on this, and if I freaking hear the word woke one time, I am going to tear my hair out. The messaging has always been there in these movies. Your brain is just too empty to see it. Sorry, that's the end of that mini rant. I apologize. Let's just remember to keep it civil and polite down there in the comments lest you face my wrath. And before this video ends, I do want to share with you a special word from today's sponsor. Hey there. I'm Mr. Offhand, and when I'm not making videos complaining about businesses that I have absolutely zero experiences in, I'm taking a sip out of this hippopotami glass that's usually empty, but I like to pretend is full anyway. That's delicious, but the atmosphere is sometimes just a bit too wrong. And what better way to fix that than with today's sponsor? Do you ever find yourself wishing you were sitting upon a tiki terrace sipping a hippopotami much like myself? Well, my friends, the time has finally come. You can recreate that atmosphere in your very own home with the Magic Candle Company, specifically, in this case, the Tiki Terrace candle. Your home will come alive with the smells of the theme parks the second you light these candles, and I do mean the second. But if you don't happen to be a candle person, never fear. They offer so much more. Take, for example, if you will, their room sprays, or maybe even, if you're feeling daring, fragrance oils. That's right, oils that smell like the Polynesian. Wait, it does not get better than that. I would never joke about this. Ah, now that is much better. It feels like I'm sitting on an actual tiki terrace right now, and my cup is still empty. But I can pretend that I'm sitting back at the Tiki Terrace, enjoying some ukulele music and listening to the waves as they crash up against the Seven Seas Lagoon. You too can feel this parkside euphoria from your very own home if you visit themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND upon your checkout to save 15% off of your order. Maybe you don't like the smell of the Tiki Terrace. I mean, you're incorrect, but that's fine. You can make your home or office smell like the Contemporary, like the Norway Pavilion, or dare I say, even the Haunted Mansion. So what are you waiting for? Head over to themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND at checkout to get 15% off of your order and make your own home smell like an enchanted Tiki Terrace. Still empty though, so I guess it's just... What? Thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. I'm not a businessman, all right? I'm not a business analyst. I don't know anything about stocks or bonds or 401ks. I don't know why anyone would want to run 401k. It's a very long race. But what I do know is that Disney needs to continue to innovate through stories, okay? I know they will continue to innovate through the technology that they use on their movie, that their animation will get better and better. But the creativity part of it, the stories behind these technological advancements need to hold up as well. I'm not mad. I'm not even disappointed. I'm just worried. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and until we see Moana 2 in theaters this fall, I will remain silent on movies until we get to that point. I have nothing more to say. If it's good, I will be very happy. If it's bad, I will say, told you so. But, in case you didn't know, in case you didn't realize, we're actually currently in the end card right now. I tricked you. I didn't even say we were going to the end card. There was no fade out or anything. We're here already. Everyone, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can kind of see what I'm saying without, watch the whole video first, and then judge. I am not mad at Disney. I think they need to continue to tell original stories. Okay, that's just my humble opinion. And that's what it is. It's my opinion at the end of the day. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you're new around here and you want more videos like this discussing the business side of Disney, the movie side of Disney even, hit the like button and the subscribe button. Just both of them, instead of just the one of them. And if you're interested in getting early access to videos and extended editions of videos, you can join my Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. That will be linked also in the description down below. Even just $1 a month gets you access to most of the perks, including Patreon exclusive videos. That's right, no one else can see them except for my Patreon supporters. I love you guys. Mwah. But finally, if you don't want to spend money to follow me on other social medias, you don't have to. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at offhanddisney on all 3 of those platforms. I am uploading to TikTok here pretty soon, and also I post almost every day on Twitter. But if you haven't noticed, I actually uploaded a YouTube short the other day. I want to keep those going. That's really fun and interesting, just for things that don't deserve their whole video to themselves. Just small little news tidbits or thoughts that I have about Disney. I may end up uploading to YouTube Shorts, so keep an eye out for that. Everyone, thank you all so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one, where we go back to talking about the parks once again. Don't worry, I'm sticking to the terrain that I know that I'm good at discussing and, what's the word I'm looking for? Analyzing. That's the word I was looking for. I'm good at analyzing the parks. Everyone, once again, thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.